Hey everyone, how are you doing today? I am Makeda Valletta, also known as the Body Scientist. And in case you're unfamiliar with me, I am a strength and conditioning coach, a sports nutritionist, a doula, a dancer, a practitioner of indigenous health practices. I am live on my Instagram page, The Body Scientist. I will save this and repost it to my YouTube page, The Body Scientist 81. Be sure you follow me in both places. And again, if you're unfamiliar with me, just know that I have committed my life to studying all the ways that we can bring our body to its highest level. And that's from the outside in and the inside out, okay? I speak a lot about skin health, gut health, hormonal health, natural immunity and immune systems, infectious diseases, healthy babies and children, all of that, sexuality, all of that is a part of optimal health, okay? And so these are all the things that I study and have been speaking about for 20 years now, okay? So let me get on with the topic. So I have a background in both nutrition and exercise and sports science. And so everywhere I travel in the world, in the United States, in the world, I'm always looking at access to an active, healthy lifestyle, okay? I'm always looking at the access that people have in this city, this town, this country to an active, healthy lifestyle. And I've done videos about many places, Dominican Republic, parts of like Cartagena and Cali, Colombia, Mexico City, New Orleans. So I've done videos about a lot of different places, but I've never done a video about my hometown of New York City, okay? So I'm born and raised on the island of Manhattan, but I currently live in Chicago, but I still go back and forth. I'm in New York every month, okay? And I really want to talk about New York right now, okay? Because a lot of people will say they don't understand why somebody would pay so much money to live in New York City, right? And when it comes to an active, healthy lifestyle, there's many things about New York that makes it ideal when it comes to access, okay? So there's a few things that I want to say. First, when it comes to nutrition, I'm a believer in supporting local farms, okay? I'm a believer in getting local foods from local farms as much as possible. You want to avoid the commercial food industry as much as possible. And that's whether it's plant foods or animal foods, okay? So New York is New York State, okay, is one of the top states when it comes to organic farming, all right? And so, another thing to add, I'm working on a master's degree in medical cannabis science and therapeutics, okay? So studying medical cannabis science also goes along with my approach to health in the first place, which is about balancing our systems, fixing the issue, going to the root of the issue and balancing the problem instead of taking pharmaceuticals which mask issues and cause other problems, right? I don't believe in trying to fix one problem by causing another problem, right? And so when it comes to cannabis, okay, New York State has a lot of sun-grown cannabis farmers, right? And I remember, being from New York City, I used to be a New York City snob where I didn't care about upstate, and I'm all about New York City. Even though when I first went into my first graduate program at Columbia, it was in applied physiology and nutrition. That program made us aware of the food system, right? Because every nutrition program in this country is funded by the food companies. The food companies and the drug companies are the same exact people, okay? And so all the nutrition programs in this country are funded by the food companies. All the medical programs are funded by the pharmaceutical companies. And so you have a tainted education, and they are the same people, okay? The graduate program that I went into in applied physiology and nutrition was the only nutrition program in the country that did not take money from the food industry. So they made us very much aware of the importance of sustainable agriculture, okay, and getting things from local farms. And I remember when they said, this is 20 years ago now, I remember when they said people who are from cities don't think about where their food comes from past the supermarket. And I'm like, you know what? At that time, I hadn't thought about that. And really understanding food systems And the problem with the commercial food industry, whether it's animal foods or plant foods, the commercial food industry is a problem. Okay, they taint the animal foods and the plant foods. And so distressing sustainable agriculture and going to farmers markets, which New York City has a lot of excellent farmers markets, and several of them, okay, like every day of the week. And the farmers markets in New York don't just sell produce. A lot of them are selling various kinds of meats, eggs, cheeses, okay? I've never seen raw milk at New York City farmers markets, but I have been getting raw milk delivered to me from a family that goes and gets food from various farms in New York State and delivers it in New York and New Jersey. Raw milk, raw cream, it's amazing, okay? Raw milk and raw cream is medicine. It is not the same thing as the milk and cream that you get from the supermarket, from the commercial food industry. I've done several videos on this topic over the last 11 years, okay, that you can definitely check out. But raw milk is a medicine, okay? It's high in probiotics, which we need for our immune system, our microbiome, for digestion. It's high in CLA fats, which help us burn fat and good for our immune system. MCT fats, the long chain omega-3 fats we need for our brain and our immune system. It has arachidonic acid, which we need for our gut health, proper skin health, brain health, okay? It's very high in vitamins A and D, has a lot of enzymes. Raw milk has a lactase enzyme, the amylase enzyme, the lipase enzyme, okay? It's high in glutathione, which is a really important antioxidant. So raw milk is a superfood, and it is very good for you and easy to digest. And I get it. Somebody asked me where do I get it in New York. It's a company called Udder Milk, UDDER Milk, MILK.com. And they don't just deliver milk and dairy, but they have different kinds of milk. I get cow's milk, but they have goat's milk, and they might have some others. And they also have all kinds of meats. They have organ meats, they have lamb, they have duck, they have chickens, they have beef, everything but pork because they're Muslims. They have eggs. I get great eggs from them. They have raw honeys. They have all kinds of stuff on there that they're getting from New York farms. Just a couple days ago, I ordered some ground beef, and also they will sell ground beef with organs as well. They sell organ meats, which organ meats are also very important. No matter where people came from in the world, I don't care if you're in whatever African country, Asian country, European country, country in the Americas, the Polynesian Islands, everybody in the world ate organ meat, okay? Can you write it? So yeah, I'll write it. I can write it on the video too when I'm done, but I'm gonna write it. It's called uddermilk.com. So it's UDDER milk.com. Hold on, I'm gonna put it up there. Okay, you should see it. So yeah, they sell organ meats, but like, I don't like organ meats, even though like if you're of a certain age, okay, I was born in 81. If you're of a certain age, you were made to eat liver as a kid, okay? I feel like kids now are not getting liver, and depending on where you came from in the world, you might have been given gizzards and brains. I mean, if you look at Mexicans, they still very much eat their organ meats. You see, if you go to Mexican restaurants, a lot of them, they have tacos de sesos, which is brain tacos. They have orejas, which is the ears. They be having the la lengua tacos, which is the tongue. You see a lot of that, And one thing I noticed about Mexican babies, even here in New York City, you have a lot of Mexicans now selling stuff in the train station. They're selling churros, they're selling fruit, and other stuff. And they will have newborn babies with them. There's nowhere for them to go to the bathroom and change a diaper. They don't be having a baby bag. They be outside selling stuff, and their babies and their children don't make a sound. I noticed that when I was in Mexico. I noticed that here. I'm like, they're the most well-behaved, like, don't make a sound, quiet, mom's hustling all day type babies. And it's like, well, what is that? I wonder if that has something to do with what they're feeding them. Even though Mexico does have a high consumption of sugary drinks and soda, I tend to think, so it's not that they're perfect in their diet, but they still eat so much of their traditional foods, of organ meats and stuff. I think that it helps. And they definitely have a lot of healthy babies like it ain't nothing. I don't care what's going on in their life. I don't care how poor they are, what they don't have. They have like at least 4 or 5 kids, okay? I'm just being honest. And it seems like It's something, you have to observe that. What are they doing? They're definitely still eating their organ meats, which are very nutrient dense. So for me, it's like, I don't like organ meats, but one way that you can try to get them, there's different ways you can try to sneak them in. And one is by getting ground beef that has organ meats in it. There's, and traditionally sausage and stuff like that used to be made with organ meats. So, people got a lot more organ meats. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, and Mexicans, they be eating tacos la cabeza tacos, and la cabeza, that's the head. And I never looked it up to see exactly what that is. I don't know if they're cutting up everything in the head and making a taco out of it. But yeah, Mexicans, they eat the organ meats, okay? So the thing is that, yeah, I got ground beef mixed with organ meats from Udder Milk. And when I got it, I thought I was about to put it in the freezer because for some reason I thought it was frozen. But then when I got it, I was going to put it in the freezer because I thought it was frozen. But then I'm like, wait, I don't think this is frozen. I don't know if this is frozen. And I thought, let me text the delivery guy and ask him. And he said, oh no, that's fresh. That was slaughtered last night. Okay, so and the milk, the cow was milked yesterday. So the raw milk, the meat that I'm getting from here is freshly slaughtered. And they will put that on their site a lot of times as well. They also sell bones. They sell marrow bones. They sell all kinds of bones. Okay, chicken bones, cow bone, whatever animal, because every single culture took the bones and made gelatinous broth. Okay, gelatinous broth is critical for immune health, gut health, if you're healing from anything. If you thank you, love, for the compliment. If you have had surgery, if you're recovering from anything, because after you're recovering from surgery, when you're recovering from surgery, your body is like trying to heal and needs support, right? If a woman has just had a baby, whether it's vaginally or C-section, doesn't matter. Any type of surgery or really intense, physical thing that you go through, athletes, growing children, broth is critical. Okay, and you want gelatinous broth. It's good for your skin, for your bone health, your gut health. Okay, absolutely critical. And so they sell quality bones and bone marrow broth. Bone marrow actually was used. Some people know about Madam C.J. Walker, who was I think one of the first black female millionaires who made beauty products for black women. And congratulations, love. She made beauty products for black women, and she put bone marrow in it. Bone marrow is also very high in vitamin A and D, and it's good for the scalp and regenerating hair and all of that, right? So I get all of this delivered from this farm. Now, cannabis. I talked about being, a proponent of cannabis medicine. And in New York State, it's legal here. It's also legal for people to consume cannabis on the street here, anywhere in public, right in front of the cop's face. The law in New York is, as long as it is legal to smoke cigarettes, it's legal to smoke cannabis. That's the law in New York, right? So you have that access. We're allowed to grow plants. But there's been a lot of politics in New York, just like in every state, with, okay, well, they rolled out medical cannabis and so-called recreational cannabis, which I hate that term because to me it's all medicinal, okay? But, and all the dispensaries that were supposed to be open aren't open yet. So what the governor allowed the farmers to do, because you have a lot of farmers in New York State who had access to cannabis, with nobody to sell it to because all the dispensaries weren't open. So the governor allowed the farmers to have these farmers markets, right? And so I went to one in New Paltz, which is like an hour and a half drive from New York City. And it's a cute little college town, okay? And I just started discovering, I told you I used to be a New York State snob, but I just started discovering upstate New York a couple years ago. In just an hour and 90 minutes outside of New York City, I have seen the most beautiful farmland. And I've driven through a lot of states. I've driven in California. I've driven through parts of the Midwest and Georgia and, up and down the East Coast I've driven all the way up. I'm in New York. I've driven up to Maine, through Vermont and New Hampshire, Rhode Island. I've been through Connecticut. I've driven from, down to Maryland, Virginia, all the way down to Florida to the tip of it. So I haven't seen every place in the United States, but I've driven a lot of places. And New York State to me is the most profoundly breathtaking. First of all, this huge, I mean, Pennsylvania is also a beautiful state. That whole Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Vermont, Maine are gorgeous, and they all look very different. Pennsylvania is so rural, and there's a lot of raw milk in Pennsylvania because there's a lot of farmers and a lot of Amish in Pennsylvania, so raw milk is plentiful. That's one thing about Philly. I think I did a video about Philly a couple months ago. But New York State, I'm like, the grass is so green and lush. And then I'm looking at these huge, like, mystical rock formations. And so, and I noticed with the New York State cannabis farmers, a lot of them are into sun-grown cannabis. And sun-grown cannabis does have, it's just like eating sun-grown produce, right? Or consuming eggs and dairy from cows and chickens and pigs and other animals that were outside running around and getting sunlight, okay? Getting sunlight, there's nothing that replaces sunlight, whether it be on a plant or on a human or an animal or whatever. So sun-grown cannabis is going to be more well-rounded, more potent, better for the environment, but even health-wise, it's going to have, you know, more beneficial properties because it's been kissed by the sun. So the fact that New York State farmers, you have so many of them who are so dedicated to sun-grown cannabis, and it'll say it on the cannabis containers. But also, I found out about this black dirt region of New York State where cannabis is being grown. And apparently this black dirt region, it has some very, very fertile black dirt that is very rare. And I think they said that it only exists like in New York and like some other part of the world. And it's like super fertile, magical dirt. And so I'm like, oh my God, so I'm finding this out. And I'm like, no wonder. Like, just from what I saw upstate, I knew there was something very special about this New York State land, right? And very potent about it. You know what I'm saying? And so when I go up to New Paltz and I'm talking to the cannabis farmers, and it's great. It's great to be able to purchase cannabis from the people who grew it, who can tell you exactly what to expect. And some people will say that you can't tell somebody what to expect from different strains because everybody's different. And that's true. But I have found it to be like, if I'm looking for a strain where I like strains where I can, you know, still do my work, still read, go to the gym, go, you know, run around, do my shit. I don't like sleepy weed unless I'm trying to go to sleep, but I don't need help going to sleep. Like, I like to just live my day and then go to sleep, right? But I like cerebral type stuff, and I don't need to be too high or feeling too buzzed or whatever. And it's like, to be able to talk to the farmers, I find that whenever people do give recommendations about that, it's usually pretty accurate. And being able to talk to the farmers directly was great for them to be able to allow you to smell it and touch it and explain to you how they're growing it and their processes. So the same thing is true for food. Is you want to be as closely connected to the farmers as possible. And I remember when I was at Columbia having some professors, one professor who only ate, she lived upstate New York. She came to Columbia, she was an older woman, came to Columbia to teach, okay? And she would talk, and she was really stressing sustainable agriculture. Like, I'm from the island of Manhattan, okay? The island of Manhattan is a tiny little island. It's like 22 miles. Like, what happens if an emergency happens and you can't get things on off this island? Where are you going to get the food from? You know what I'm saying? Sustainable our whole food system is this international food system. We're going and getting water from Fiji. That doesn't make any sense. It's terrible for the people in Fiji to have a company go and seize their water and say, now it belongs to us now. And, you know, they're shipping it so that every single store in America can have Fiji water. Isn't that extremely wasteful? And then all the pollution that it puts, I mean, that's terrible. You get coconut water that's coming from Thailand, but it was packaged in Florida. So you ship the coconut water to Florida to then package it and then ship it all around. Like, that's extremely wasteful. So sustainable agriculture is important as much as possible. Getting things from local farmers and that's locally around you. So I remember having a professor who she got all her produce and everything from local farmers, all her dairy, and she said, I know where all my stuff comes from. I get my stuff from the farmers around me. And then she ate roadkill a lot. She always talked about eating roadkill. Now, I've never done that. I will never do that. But not people who do. She definitely talked about that. And just when I drove upstate to New Paltz, 90 minutes outside of New York City, I saw a lot of roadkill. Like, I haven't seen that much roadkill probably ever. So it's like, for somebody who, it's like, why waste the animal? Go eat it, okay? That's how people are, right? So also, when I went up to New Paltz, I missed my delivery day for my raw milk in New York City. So I say, you know what? I'm going upstate. Let me see if because you see these healthy looking cows. So I'm like, let me see if I can find raw milk just straight from the farm when I'm going upstate. I search. There are raw milk farms, okay, all outside of New York City, just an hour, okay, within an hour radius, where they have 24 hours, 24/7, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They have raw milk and cream and a trailer on their property. You are to go in there, take whatever you're taking, you write down what you took, and you leave money. And I'm like, what? Like, I have never heard of that before. My mom told me that they had the same thing, I think, in Maine. There was a woman who was selling pie that she baked, and like it would be like on the side of the road, and you take it and you leave money. And I'm like, that's a lot of trust that people will do that. But they have that all just in an hour upstate New York. So I'm like, there's so many times over the years that, because when I get my raw milk delivered in New York, they deliver 2 days a week, Saturdays and Tuesdays, and you have to place the order by a certain day. And there are times that I missed a deadline, I couldn't get my delivery, and I was always thinking about driving to Connecticut, because where I'm at, Upper Manhattan, right next to the Bronx, Connecticut, New Jersey is like 5 minutes that way, but Connecticut is like 20 minutes from here, 25 minutes, and Connecticut was one of the only states where Connecticut is one of 3 states where it was legal to sell raw milk in the supermarket for years. It was Connecticut, California, and New Mexico, right? So I always would think, well, let me go to Connecticut and go to a store and find some raw milk. But every time I would look it up, every place that they were selling it in Connecticut was too far of a drive. It was like 2 hours from here, or hour and 40 minutes. I'm like, I don't want to drive that far for raw milk. Never knew that I could get it in my own state just an hour outside the city. It's all over the place, okay? So access to raw milk and raw cream, okay, because Philly there's raw milk everywhere because of the Amish, but I can never find cream for some reason. But we have Chicago and New York, you can find the raw cream. Can't find that good cream in Cali either. I've gotten raw milk in Georgia, I've gotten raw milk in Florida, they don't have the cream, okay? So I don't know if it's a certain environment, but that raw cream is, oh my God, right? So you have access to that in New York State. Now, New York City, because this is what the video is about, right? New York City, because I remember in my first graduate program writing a whole article about, the fact that there wasn't enough produce in the hood, okay? Let me not say produce, enough organic produce. And back then, 20 years ago, I was very much on that rhetoric of you have to eat more fruits and vegetables, which is a thing that they always tell people. Whenever there's nutrition advice, whether they're giving it to children, to pregnant women, it's always eat more fruits and vegetables, eat more fruits and vegetables, eat more fruit. That is way overemphasized and doesn't even need to be said, okay? You need to eat more healthy animal foods, good quality dairy, quality broth, quality organ meats, red meat, quality seafood, fermented foods. Those are the things that you need more of, right? Especially when you're growing and developing and as you're aging, just period. But growing and developing are critical years, right? So, and I mean, there's so many, I'm not gonna go off on a tangent about that. So let me stay on topic. Okay, so I remember writing an essay about if you go to different parts of Brooklyn, the Bronx, Queens, Manhattan, all the boroughs except Staten Island, I don't know about that, but the 4 boroughs that matter, we have so many people selling produce. Like there's all these fruit stands everywhere. I don't care if it's a poor neighborhood, the hood, or a rich neighborhood, it doesn't matter. There are people selling produce. There's stores with whole produce going around the thing. Then you got standalone produce markets everywhere. That's all the boroughs. All the neighborhoods are like that. The whole city. You could have 3 people selling produce in one block. You got a supermarket selling all this produce. You got another standalone person that's there 24 hours a day selling produce. They don't even pack up, okay? All over the place. On this block, that block, this block. That's how New York is. But I remember writing an essay saying, well, that's not all organic. There's the GMOs. They're sprayed with pesticides. And, if you want the organic stuff, you want to go to the farmers markets, which is still true. But as I've, traveled around the country and traveled around the world, well, let's just keep it to United States, because I can go national and international, because I look at these things no matter where I travel. But in the United States, there's no other place where you have produce everywhere like that. Like you even have access like that. You have to usually just go to the supermarket, the huge supermarket that's the size of a damn football field. Everything is inside. New York has a lot of produce that's being sold outside, as well. And it's just everywhere, But that's not only true of produce, it's true of everything, you know. But I just know that a lot of cities have food deserts. Oakland, Philly, Chicago, Detroit, you know, Miami, like every city practically has food deserts. New York City doesn't have food deserts. We do not have food deserts, period. Okay? So just access to food, and me living in Chicago for, it'll almost be 7 years that I've been living in Chicago in January. And I've gotten used to like having to like get my coconut water in advance and get certain things in advance. And, you know, I've gotten used to that. But in New York, it's like you got options all the time as you move around the city. Like if I'm having me living an active life, like training people, or there was a time when I was teaching mad pole classes, and then like later today I'm going to a Haitian dance class and going to the gym, and I'm, you know, my life is physical and I need to eat, and you don't always have time to like sit down and eat something, but you need to grab stuff. And I don't have, like every other city, you got to drive way over here to go get some food. New York, it's just you got options, you know what I'm saying? And you recently spoke to one of the Amish vendors, and he mentioned that they have been mandated to follow the same rules as the supermarkets. What state are you talking about? Are you talking about the Amish, and what rules? So, New York City as well, because we have great public transportation, okay? That was in Maryland. I don't know, Maryland is always been a weird state when it came to raw dairy. I know one farm where you can go get it, but it's like, it's Sally Fallon's farm. I think it's in Lanham, Maryland. I've never been there, but you can only go during certain days. I think you might have to make an appointment. Like, the Maryland area has always been tough with that. But you can easily get it in Philly. And so the thing is what was I going to say? Was that walking around, right? So depending on where you live in New York City, like if you're in the Bronx or Upper Manhattan, you have a lot of hills. Like if I walk to the post office, I'm walking up hills, walking down hills, walking back up steep hills. You know, it's like that. A lot of Upper Manhattan, Harlem, the Heights. Okay, they call it the Heights. The Heights is really like 200 and something feet above sea level. So, and even walking in the trains and stuff in New York. Like if you take New York City subways, which are very efficient, you're walking up and down several staircases. And last week I went back to, you know, I started doing my Haitian dance classes again, which is extremely strenuous. It works everything: your neck muscles, your shoulder, the muscles in your freaking head, the muscles in your feet, the muscles in your legs, like everything, your back muscles, everything. And but especially a lot of legs, and a lot of lunging, and then powerful jumps, plyometric jumps, and getting down low and undulating and doing these things. And my legs, I went to 2 classes, Friday and a Saturday. I could barely walk in, getting on the stairs and trying to walk out the train station. My legs felt like they were going to fall off. And I don't remember ever feeling like that. But I feel like just being away from New York for 7 years, even though I come back here a lot, ever since COVID, I really was like driving all the time when I was in New York, so I wasn't on the train that much. And in Chicago, not walking. So I just feel like that the amount of walking that New Yorkers typically do, and then especially if you take the train and you're walking up and down train stairs, and even people who don't take the train, most people in New York who have cars still take the train. So like a lot of people have cars and still take the train. But even if you don't take the train, a lot of New Yorkers still walk upstairs in the buildings or whatever. But most New Yorkers are going to take the subway sometimes, and sometimes you have to walk up several flights of stairs, to get in and out the staircase. And out the train station, if you're running around different places. And then some people live in walk-up buildings. I don't, but I have before. So all of that. And I purposely spent a lot of time in New York this summer because I'm like, I need to move more. I cannot be in the car all the time. Most of America, people leave their house, they go into the car that's parked right outside, they drive everywhere, they drive to drive-through pharmacy, drive through Starbucks, drive through this, drive through that, and then people go one strip mall to the next. Strip malls make me want to stab my eyes out, okay? One strip mall to one chain to the next. They're always trying to park as close as possible. Like walking on flatland, you ain't doing nothing if you're walking on flatland. You need to walk up some hills, okay? You need to walk up some hills. I lived in Pittsburgh before too, and I remember like Pittsburgh, some parts of New York, you could be San Francisco is ridiculous. But like you could literally be walking up hills for a few blocks. You walk up one hill, your legs are burning. Whew, you're out of breath. Your legs is burning, your booty's burning. Walk up another hill. Oh my God. Now your heart's like this. Everything's burning. Walk up another hill. Then after you walk up them hills, go walk up some stairs. And then you might be carrying things. You know what I'm saying? And you moving around. So, and then New York is densely populated with gyms. Like the fitness industry, New York is like the capital of the fitness industry. All the high-end gyms started here. Equinox started here. Crunch Gym started here. And there's so many gyms like densely populated in New York City. So just in terms of access to like, you know, cannabis medicine, access to, because see, there are states where it's like medical cannabis is legal, but then it's not legal to smoke it in public, or it's not legal to smoke it in a building. It's not legal to, so if it's not legal to smoke it in your building and it's not legal to smoke it in public, where is somebody supposed to smoke? It's not legal to smoke it in their car. So how does that make any sense? You know what I'm saying? So you have the access to cannabis medicine in New York, which is great. Access to local farmers from all kinds of foods, down to the raw dairy, farm fresh eggs, you know, all the local stuff, okay? New York City is very walkable, and I just know in my life when I've had friends visit me from other places, even from Long Island, they couldn't hang with the amount of walking that New Yorkers do, and we don't even think about it. You know what I'm saying? And to people in other parts of America, they think walking is like, they did something because they walked 20 blocks a day. That's nothing. You know, a lot of New Yorkers walk miles in a day. And you don't see a lot of obese people in New York. Oh, the other thing too, there's a lot of bike riders in New York. To me, New York is like the least bike-friendly city, but you see the most people on bikes in New York than you do anywhere else. Like, anywhere else I've been in America, it's almost like Amsterdam. I remember that New York City was a Dutch colony, and going to Amsterdam reminds me of New York a lot, okay? And, yeah, so that's really what I'm going to talk about is, you know, living a healthy, active lifestyle, access to a healthy, active lifestyle in New York City, because also walking around, that's how you get sun in your skin. I'm always trying to get sun on my skin as much as possible. Summer is coming to an end, but you can't get sun on your skin if you're in your car. Most people are in their car all the time. And when the sun is coming through the glass, that doesn't count. It can't come through glass. That changes the physics of the light. So it needs to be direct sunlight onto your skin. So what better way to do that but to walk around and live life and go, you know, be outside handling your business, your errands, all of that, you know. And then I talk about national and international stuff because, you know, and I've done many videos in different countries and stuff like that. But there's this myth a lot of times that, like, it's harder to get access to good health in the United States, and it's easier in the Caribbean, or it's easier in Africa or something. But, you know, in the Caribbean, I've been to Haiti, I've been to Cuba, I've been to Puerto Rico, I've been to DR, St. Martin. I think that's it in the Caribbean. I think I said Cuba. Sorry, somebody called me, interrupted the call. Hopefully it's good. I've been to Colombia and Ecuador and South America. I've been to Costa Rica, in Mexico and Central America. Dakar, Senegal, places in Europe, and in New York City, okay? 7 days a week, you can find people selling shea butter on the street, okay? Shea butter, raw cocoa butter, on the street. And shea butter has become easier to find than cocoa butter, but you can find the shea butter and the cocoa butter. Then, if you want to find duck fat or high quality lard, high quality tallow, these are excellent fats to cook with, and they're also good for your skin. You can find them at Whole Foods and other supermarkets in New York City. And in America, okay, like most cities in America, you can find this stuff now. If you go into a Whole Foods store, or even sometimes Like Chicago has a supermarket called Jewel that I would never buy meat from, and I don't go food shopping there. But they do have like Kerrygold butter, and which is a good brand, and they do have like Vital Farms eggs, which is good eggs, and they now, some of them sell the duck bat and the good quality lard and tallow as well. So you can actually find those in markets here. Like, I was just in Dominican Republic, and cacao, they have cacao farms, but you can't find cocoa butter there. You can find cocoa butter lotion that has chemicals in it. But I haven't used commercial lotion on my skin in over 20 years. It was 2003 when I said I just started using shea butter exclusively. And then in the summertime, I would use coconut oil exclusively. And the winter, the rest of the time, I would use shea butter exclusively. And you can easily, coconut oil, I can usually find other places in the world, but shea butter is extremely difficult to find. Cocoa butter is like practically impossible. And then forget about those other fats. And I can easily get that in the United States. I can easily get it in Chicago. Well, the cocoa butter is harder to get in Chicago, actually. Chicago, I can go to the store and get the duck bat, the tallow, the lard. Shea butter is a little bit, but cocoa butter is harder. So in New York City, it's very easy to get all those things. So New York City is unique in that way in the world. Okay, it's unique in the United States in that way, but it's unique in the world that way. Like I could literally go down the street. I could go to 125th. Hold on, I have to sneeze. Hold on a second. Excuse me. Sorry about that. I can go to 125th Street. I can go, especially 125th Street in Harlem. But then there's other little African stores and vendors. When I'm about to go to my dance class today, Union Square, they're selling raw shea butter on the street. I didn't see people selling raw shea butter when I was in Dakar, Senegal. I didn't see people selling raw cocoa butter when I was in the Caribbean. When I'm in Dominican Republic, that has cacao plantations, right? You said you saw lard in the store for the first time in decades. In the store the other day. Make sure it's good quality lard, pasture lard. You don't want lard from like the commercial food industry, from sick pigs. You want it from pasture pigs. These are pigs that are outside eating their traditional diets, eating, doing what they do, because pigs play a role on the farm. They're getting their sunlight, because their fats are very high in vitamin A and D, and really important fats. So like right now, like on my skin, cholesterol our hormones are made from cholesterol. You guys hear me talk about this. I've done videos on this. Oh, pasture raised lard. What brand was it? Was it, what is the name of the brand that I get? I forget. Let me know what brand it was, because I wonder or was it from like a farm? I forgot. There's this butcher that I would go to in Virginia outside of DC that had a lot of this stuff too. Sometimes you can find like small stores in your city or your area, your town, that's selling farm fresh stuff that's from local farmers. You always want to look for that. But cholesterol is really, our hormones are made from cholesterol. And our hormones are made from cholesterol. The myelin sheaths that protect our nerves and the signals that our nerves send, that's made from cholesterol. So if you want to prevent neurodegenerative diseases, you need cholesterol for that. Our sex hormones and our stress hormones, the testosterone, the estrogen, cortisol, all that stuff is made from cholesterol, right? So it's important to have good cholesterol in our diet. But cholesterol is also really important for our skin health, okay? And this is the reason why animal fats is good. Traditionally, people have used animal fats. You have a lot of Africans that have used tallow in their hair, on their skin, ghee. Ethiopians and Indian women use ghee, which is a clarified butter, on their skin, in their hair. And I also get high quality ghee and butter from udder milk as well, coming from local farms, right? So it's raw butter and raw ghee. And so like, right now, even I mixed up this, this is my new, I make my skin mixtures, and I made a new one. This one is an animal-based one. This one has a little bit of cocoa butter, because I'm always going to put cocoa butter in my stuff, because cocoa butter is just amazing. And smells good. And then it has a little bit of tallow, a little bit of grass-fed tallow, pasture lard, lanolin, okay, all of which are animal fats. Lanolin is coming from, like, sheep. It's like a waxy, high cholesterol, very high cholesterol, very high in vitamin A and D that helps to seal in moisture. It's good for hair too, and the scalp and the skin. Tallow is very high in vitamin A and D, as is pasture lard. Okay, those are also good to cook with. Okay, they're good to. Black Americans traditionally fried chicken in lard. Mexicans traditionally use lard to make tortillas, and the Okinawa in Japan cook with lard every day, and they're some of the longest living people. So all those animal fats, the lanolin, the tallow, the lard, are high in cholesterol and vitamins A and D. And mixing that, a little bit of ghee, it's an animal-based fat. So the cocoa butter is the only plant-based one, and it's heavily on the animal fats. And animal fats, the pH and the chemical makeup of it is more similar to the fats in our skin, because we're animals, right? And we also need cholesterol, and there's no cholesterol in plants. So I notice when I put this on my skin absorbs it and eats it up even better than when I have like more plant fats in it, like coconut oil, and putting more plant fats. The more animal fats in it, the more the skin just eats it up and absorbs it, right? And so cholesterol is extremely important for the skin, and I'll do a video about that later. But I was able to get all these fats easily. I got some lamb fat from the farm, and I raw ghee. You're getting these high quality, and these are all local. Whereas like coconut oil is not local. I'm in New York State. I'm in Chicago. Coconut oil is actually coming from a different environment. You know what I'm saying? So same thing with the shea butter and the cocoa butter, even though I love my cocoa butter. But I'm going to end the video here. The other thing. No. Another thing about New York City and living a healthy, active lifestyle. New York City has lots of parks, okay? More parks than any other city in the country, actually, okay? I think they said 20% of New York City is covered by parks and trees and stuff. And so New York has amazing parks where when I was a kid, I grew up in a park. I never felt like, I don't have a backyard. I never felt like that because my dad had me in the park all the time. I'd be rollerblading, riding my bike. I played sports. I played in Little League. But we have a lot of parks, and our parks are not just flat. Like a lot of cities have these flat parks where there's like little strategically planted baby trees. New York has parks that have levels, have huge rock formations, huge staircases, especially like in Harlem and the Bronx and stuff, where you have huge hills inside the park. You can go on serious hikes and like walking workouts in New York City parks. And there's several basketball courts and several handball courts and places to ride bikes and places to skate. Okay, so New York City is, it is very easy to live a healthy, active lifestyle in New York City. If I'm walking down the street and I'm feeling like I'm about to faint, I'm thirsty, or I'm about to go into the gym, I'm about to go teach a class, I'm like, I need some coconut water, I need some watermelon juice, you can find it everywhere. Like if one store doesn't have it, another store has it. Like the access here to stuff everywhere is like on a different level. Okay, so between that, the density of gyms, the access to cannabis medicine, the farmers markets, the local farms that some of the best local farms that surround New York City, some of the best local farms in the country. I was so amazed at looking at the land in New York State that I said, let me Google what are the best states for organic farming. New York State is like in the top 5. Okay, so I'm just saying. So to me, New York City gets an A+ when it comes to access to a healthy, active lifestyle. Okay. And you can easily just leave the city. I remember one of my childhood best friends moved to Cali because she's like, I like being close to I like being in the city, but being close to nature. Got the same thing in New York City. There's some of the most beautiful farms and nature and rivers and mountains and dense trees and stuff right outside New York City. And in New York City, you can just step into urban jungle with the parks that we have. Okay? So I think and then people sell flowers everywhere. I've never been to another city where I've seen flowers everywhere except London. They were selling a lot of flowers in London, but they were only tulips. And in New York City, my favorite flowers are lilies, but you have all kinds of flowers, all kinds of plants that you have people selling all over the city, all over the boroughs. You're walking down the street, okay? And having plants in your house and having flowers in your house, that's also good for your health, okay? Sun on your skin when you're walking around, walking up and down the stairs in your building, walking up and down the stairs to get on up the subway. All that, and then you're carrying things, you know, your kids, you got your book bag, and you're carrying things around, you accumulate, you know, I might be out and I buy this, I get this, now I'm carrying 3 bags. New York City is excellent for having access to a healthy, active lifestyle. There's so many amazing dance classes here. And dance classes are a different level than just taking aerobics classes in the gym, okay? When you're taking a Haitian folkloric dance class, Afro-Cuban dance class, samba classes, we got hip-hop classes, every kind of modern dance, like any style of dance that you want to study, New York City has classes with masters. So you have the access to all these things every single day, 7 days a week, 24/7, is what makes New York an excellent city for having access to a healthy, active lifestyle. You don't see a lot of obese people here. And when you see people here who are a little chubby and a little fat, they are very capable. Like, look at Heavy D. Remember Heavy D? Heavy D used to be dancing so hard. And he was a big dude. You know, that's New York. But we don't have a lot of big people in New York, though. We don't. I feel like our BC levels are way below the national average. So, yeah, I need to go on. I need to go cook my, I'm about to cook my food with my organ meats. I'm about to hit the gym and hit my dance class, okay? And I'm going to take the train and walk up and down the stairs, and I'm going to go over here after my dance class. I'm going to go take the train someplace else, walk up and down some more stairs, go get some ice cream from my favorite ice cream place in Houston, and move around. And before I dance, I'll take a few puffs from my spliff, and then after class, take a few more puffs from my spliff, and the weed helps me get into my zone. I'm going to dance hard, okay? Because these dance classes is no joke. Yeah, head be involved. I be trying to tie my hair down. My hair is flying on my face, okay? And you got to go hard. You got to put your back into it, your neck into it, everything. Your hips into it, the footwork, you know? So like I said, New York City is an excellent city to live an active, healthy lifestyle. Have you ever been to New York City? If so, where did you go? Please tell me you went someplace other than corny-ass Times Square, which is where people always want to go. If you want to come or you are coming, you need some recommendations, let me know. What are some of your favorite parks in New York? Have you explored them? Let me know in the comments. And also, you can always subscribe to my Instagram page. I post other things there. And then I have an OnlyFans page, that The Body Scientist, where if you have questions, because a lot of times people have questions about different things, you can ask me the questions there and I will answer it publicly. Because sometimes you might have a question about a certain supplement or a certain health issue, or what can I do about this knee issue, or whatever. And I can answer it in public forum so other people can learn, other people can join in the conversation. And, you know, because people ask me a lot of questions at the bottom of my videos, I don't have time to answer people's questions all the time, but I will do it there, okay? So I hope, and I'm always available for one-on-one consultations with people. I've been working with people one-on-one for 20 years. I am a strength and conditioning coach, exercise physiologist, sports nutritionist, all rooted in ancestral ways, medical cannabis practitioner, all those things. I'm a doula, you know, whatever's going on with your body, I can help. So if you ever want to, you know, work with me, you can always contact me. You can email me. Hit me on Instagram. Follow me on Instagram. Follow me on YouTube. I'll put my email address below. If you learned something from this video, please like it. Please share it. And I'll see you in the next one, okay? All right, people. Bye. Have a great day. Take care.